Hi, this is Will. For those guys who have an S550 that track the car, you ever wonder what you could do to get that rear end to stay cool? A lot of times what happens is you go out for a run, you're gone 20 minutes, you come back to the pits, you park the car, and then you go back out after about an hour or so. The rear end gets hot, you get a over temp warning, and the car goes limp mode. What happens is that the rear end is wrapped with the exhaust pipe. It goes all the way around it, or actually goes around it, and it heat soaks, and there's nowhere for that hot air to go, so it starts out at a much higher temperature the second run, and then you start pushing it pretty hard, and next thing you know, you get that dreaded limp mode, and you get to cruise the rest of your time around the track. So here's what I did to solve that problem. It worked out pretty good. Picked up a derail cooler. In this case, it's part number 13730. A Tilton pump, part number 40524. From there, I decided to put everything into my trunk, actually in the spare tire well. I've done this on past 4 cars that have gone to the track with me, and it really works out well. It keeps the heat away from the pump, because the pumps don't like a lot of excessive heat. The fan really doesn't care, the fan and cooler. So that's what I did. And as you can see, I used all AN fittings. You can go just with actually just hose bibs and hose clamps and hoses, but I chose to go AN fittings. Everything on this build is 8 AN. I used bulkhead fittings so I can go through the floor nice and neat. I haven't hooked up the electrical yet. As I go through this build, keep in mind that I spent about $470 bucks, and half that price was probably in hoses and fittings. So you can indeed, I think, pull this thing off for about probably about 350 bucks. So that's it up on top. Pretty self-explanatory. Pumps usually come with 3/8 MPTs. In this case, I made a mistake and bought a cooler that had hose bibs, so that's why it looks kind of complicated here. Underneath the car, pretty straightforward. Comes out of the diff with a 1/2 inch MPT to the AN fitting. Goes up to a check valve. That way, when you take the fluid won't drain back into the differential, which will overfill the diff. Goes up to my bulkhead fitting. When it comes back, it comes back down. If you see, I did everything that goes to the cooler in red and blue, and everything coming out of the cooler is in black. It goes back down. I got a on-off valve here. That way when I change the diff fluid, I can just shut the valve, and that keeps the fluid from draining, while I drain everything else out. I've got these hoses are not pulled against the sway bar. They do kind of set on a little bit. So what I did is I just put this heater hose around it and zip tied it in place so it wouldn't rub anything raw. The fill port, where it gets a little complicated in doing it, but you have to use a 1/2 inch 90-degree MPT here, and then I got a 90-degree 8 AN fitting. So see, it's not complicated at all. You can buy these kits from companies. It costs you about 800 bucks, and if you want to save some money, this is the way to do it. Yeah, that's the build. So thank you guys very much for watching it. Goodbye.